Well, that took a while, huh? After a bit of a wait, one longer than I anticipated, part 2 is finally here. If you aren't aware, this is part 2 of a multiple part analysis of the second trailer for Kirby and the Forgotten Land. You should watch part 1 before watching this. If you have already watched part 1, or just simply want to learn about the Waddle Dee Town, this is the video for you. Hello everyone, I'm DExus and welcome to the DExus Show. Now we get to our first look at the now built up Waddle Dee Town, which will act as your hub world and menu screen for the game. Thanks to this press kit image, we can see that the Waddle Dees you rescue will build up this destroyed town. The more Waddle Dees you save, the more buildings they will build, and the more populated and alive the place will look. In this specific screenshot, we need 50 Waddle Dees rescued to build this building. As we see later on in the trailer, that's more than available in World 1, and possibly other worlds as well. In this current scene, we see what I assume is the town before World 3 is beat. There are a lot of buildings in the back and it seems pretty populated. It also has a small brick plaza. I'll talk about why I think this is before World 3 is beat later on in this analysis. If you look at more press kit images, you can see an earlier version of this location, noted by the star-shaped hole underneath the warp star and the lack of buildings in the back. Comparing the current shot in the trailer to the press kit image, we can see that the image has 3 more Waddle Dees in it. There are 3 Waddle Dees chatting in the bottom right corner, the Waddle Dees reading on the bench, Wise Waddle Dee, the 2 Waddle Dees chatting behind them, the Waddle Dees eating on a table, and the workers at the cafe. In the press kit image, we can see 2 Waddle Dees chatting next to the hat store, and 1 behind the cinema. This could simply be a pop-in issue, because later on in the trailer, we can see those 3 extra Waddle Dees, with an additional one hidden in the side of the cinema. In the topic of multiple Waddle Dees, they all have different shades of orange. I really like this little detail, it gives them a little bit more of individuality. Back to the town itself, we see 12 points of interest. I will start with the 5 locations in the middle, from left to right. We first have a building that looks like a theater. This might be the place where you get to rewatch cutscenes. Kirby games have always had a way to rewatch cutscenes in the main menu, and here it is as a movie theater. This location reminds me of the Pop Star Night Cinema Remix set. A little bit next to it, we see an alleyway leading to 2 gacha machines. We see Kirby buying from one of them later on in the trailer, especially the yellow one in the left. In the footage for this machine, we see 6 of the gacha toys we can collect, those being Kirby, the figure we see Kirby get in the trailer, Elfilin, a pink car of some sort, note the little wheels in the bottom, a silver caged Waddle Dee, a Garurufi, and the Gorilla Boss, who I will talk about later. We have seen clearer images of every collectible advertised, except for the pink car. What's up with this car? There has been a car that shows up multiple times in this game, but that car is blue, not pink. People speculate that this could be Kirby transformed into a car. Kirby or Kirby perhaps. Every Kirby game in the past era has had a main gimmick we see every now and then in every other level. We have the Ultra abilities in Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Hypernova in Kirby Triple Deluxe, the Robobot armor in Kirby Planet Robobot, and the friend transformations in Kirby Star Allies. So this makes people believe that in this game the main gimmick will be Kirby turning into vehicles. Just like with the idea of online co-op, I don't think that's very likely, but I'll happily be surprised if true. I just don't think this game needs a gimmick, because being a 3D game is already a huge gimmick for the series. Another thing about this scene is just how happy Elfilin looks. He's so excited when Kirby's pulling out a capsule toy from the machine. Of which, hey, would you look at that? I was right about those being in the previous trailer. It seems like these machines might not be the only way you can get capsule toys. Once Kirby opens the capsule and sees the figurine, we get to see a piece of paper flying out of it. This is probably the in-world explanation for the descriptions of each toy. Yeah, these do look to just be the advertisements for the rest of the set, but this description idea is still possible. Actually, this could be the place where the pause screen lore could be held instead of the pause screen, or just where we get to see more lore or more information about the character in the figure. We also see that this figurine is from Volume 1. Since we got it from the Jello machine, out of the 2 present machines, I assume that there is a machine per volume, and that there's a volume per world. Meaning that Waddle Dee Town looks this developed yet the footage is probably only after World 2 is beat. Assuming that there are 6 worlds and 6 figurines per volume, there might be 36 figurines to collect. That is the same amount of rare keychains in Kirby Triple Deluxe and rare stickers in Kirby Planet Robobot. By this logic, I can imagine that there might be more, less rare figurines to collect in the game. After all, there were 256 keychains to collect in Kirby Triple Deluxe and 200 stickers to collect in Kirby Planet Robobot. Next to the gacha machines, we have the hat store. Here you might be able to buy custom hats for Kirby's copy abilities, something never before seen in a mainline Kirby game, but seen plenty of times in the more recent spin-offs. Hopefully, we get to see the return of some of the ones from Kirby Battle Royale, Kirby Fighters 2, and maybe even some from the Team Kirby Clash games. Of course, alongside new ones. I'm not saying that we need all of them to return, I'm just saying that HAL has HD models for the ones in Kirby Fighters 2 and the Clash games, so, you know, you could just reuse those assets. Alternatively, I see a lot of people suggesting that this could be the ability room, but I don't think that's the case, due to how that's usually reserved for when you beat the game. This place being the ability room is not unlikely though, I just personally don't expect it to be. In the store's logo, you can also see a paper scroll. This could mean that the ability scrolls from Kirby Squeak Squad are back, giving us like an extra move per ability perhaps. These scrolls could also explain why Kirby has a bigger health bar in some screenshots than others. If ability scrolls are back and we get to customize Kirby's hat, I really hope that we go full force on customization and we get the return of the spray cans from Kirby and the Amazing Mirror and Kirby Squeak Squad. I don't think that's very likely, but a man can dream. Another thing this scroll could represent are side quests or missions, like the ones in Super Kirby Clash, where you get rewarded for doing certain things in certain levels. Later on in the trailer, we get to see a better view of what's in display of the store, those being bull hats that look very similar to the ones from the Kirby Hat Studio merch line. Next to the hat store is the Walde Cafe, an obvious play on the Kirby Cafe, a real location in Japan that I would commit literal crimes to go to. To the left of the cafe, there are some stairs, which lead to the roof of the place, where thanks to this press kit image, we can see that it holds a table for 3. The image shows Kirby and company eating food from the cafe up there, with this image showing them eating a meal available in the real Kirby Cafe, the Kirby Burger. We can see that the burger is on the menu, alongside 3 other meals, maximum tomatoes, energy drinks, and what could be a pink cake that... Wait a minute, black circles on the bottom, this specific shape? Is this the same pink car we see in the gacha machines? Or at least a cake modeled after it? Who knows, I guess we will have to wait a bit longer. Also, since we see that Kirby can eat stuff in the menu, I wonder if you can buy these meals and have them heal you or something along those lines. Talking about buying stuff, the 3 previous stores, the gacha machines, hat store, and Waddle Dee Cafe, might all use the coins we see throughout the game. In all the screenshots with the game's UI, we don't see the return of the life system, so the coins might be used for buying stuff instead. The lives being gone don't really matter, because the system was useless for the past like 3 games. Back to the cafe, we see later that this is the same place we play the speed serving minigame in. In the game, you have to get the right order of the Waddle Dee as quick as possible within a time limit. There's also a separate timer counting down how long you've been serving. I assume that the challenge in this is to serve as many Waddle Dees as possible within the time limit. The more Waddle Dees you serve, the higher the score. We also see that each Waddle Dee served correctly equals 50 points. Kirby currently has 1000 points, so this means that the player has already served 20 Waddle Dees in this shot. Since coins are used to buy stuff in this game, you might get coins as a reward for playing minigames. Hey, Kirby's doing his best in his minimum wage job, so he better get a paycheck for his hard work. An insignificant but very important detail that we see in this is that Kirby wears the little cafe's uniform, and it's just completely adorable. What's a bit disappointing to me is that this was a missed opportunity to have the actual Kirby Cafe uniform in this. Maybe when the town is upgraded, the Waddle Dee Cafe updates its uniform and maybe even appearance. Kinda like how stores upgrade in Animal Crossing. To end with the cafe, we can see that we can do 2 things in it, buy food and serve food. I can imagine that we have to talk to the Waddle Dee standing outside to play the food serving minigame, Well, we have to talk to the cash register Waddle Dee to order food. Or maybe you talk to the cash register Waddle Dee to start playing the minigame and go upstairs and sit on the table to order your food. Next to the cafe is the post office. We know nothing about this. In another shot, we can see that there are shipping boxes at least. Since we don't know anything, I'm going to assume that this is another place to play minigames on. Probably a minigame tied to packaging boxes? But the location could also be for something else, like a way to send messages to other friends online, or something similar to the drawings from Splatoon 2. It could also be a place for you to start online multiplayer if it is on the game. Or it could be something completely different, like sending healing items to specific areas and stages. This is all speculation and I don't really know what this could be for. I do want to say that the mailman Waddle Dee is rocking the drip. If this is a minigame, Kirby might also wear a postman's hat just like the one that Waddle Dee is wearing. Just like how he wears special hats for minigames in Kirby Star Allies and in Waddle Dee Cafe. Next to the post office, there's a wide staircase leading to an area behind the main plaza. There we see 4 places I want to point out, starting from right to left. We first see another building, which could be similar to the post office, Waddle Dee Cafe, and hat store. This one just with a flower logo. This could be a small botanic garden or flower store of some sorts. Just like with the post office, we have no idea what this building will be for. So I'm going to assume it's another minigame. Probably one where you have to water flowers or something. If this place is a minigame, I can imagine Kirby wearing a hat similar to the one in the Hello Spring Kirby merch line, or maybe one of those classic flower hats. This place could also simply be a place for you to customize your Waddle Dee Town with pretty flowers and whatnot. To the left of the flower building is a huge Colosseum arena. This place is probably where you go to have rematches with previous bosses in the game, and maybe even play the actual arena challenge we're used to. Later on in the trailer, we see that you can fight Mennonite here. We know it's the same location due to the cheering Waddle Dees in the bleachers watching the battle. This arena is similar to the Deluxe Coliseum from Kirby Battle Royale, but it's not exactly the same. I just assumed that Hal copied Battle Royale's homework and made it slightly different so the teacher wouldn't notice. Talking about Battle Royale, this Coliseum could also be another location for another minigame. A PvP minigame in the style of the Battle Arena game mode from Kirby Battle Royale. But just like the other 2 locations, this is purely speculation. The only thing confirmed about this location is that you can fight Mennonite here. So going by this, I'm going to assume that we can fight other characters here like King Dedede or maybe even Magolor or the Roach or some other guest characters. The main question here is, are these rematches or exclusive battles in the arena? I'll get into more detail about Mennonite and his fight later on in the analysis when I'm discussing Mennonite himself. Back to the outside of the arena, next to it we see a tent. This might be where you go to enter the arena and select what you want to do in it. Play the traditional arena, rematch a specific boss, or play the battle arena minigame, if those are the options available in the first place. To the left of the arena we can see more buildings from Waddle Dee Town, but I doubt those are accessible. They seem like regular homes for the Waddle Dees. But this here could be a bridge that takes you to the top part behind the theater. Now that we're done with the background, let's go on to the foreground, starting with Kirby's house. Yeah, surprise! The Waddle Dees once again built Kirby a house. We don't get much information about it, but it's possible that this is the place we get to see the gacha figure collection. I just really hope we get to explore Kirby's house for the first time. We actually see this house a couple times in the trailer, those times being as the background in the Waddle Dee Cafe minigame, next to Kirby in the fishing minigame, and in the scene where we get the release date. Talking about the fishing minigame, in it we see Kirby and Bandana Waddle Dee fishing. Fishing is probably another minigame, though we don't get to see any gameplay of it. The only thing we know about this is that Kirby wears a cute little fishing hat. Going by my minigame hat theory, where we see Kirby wear special hats in some minigames, leads me to believe that this is another minigame. The other thing we know about fishing in this game is that Bandana Waddle Dee joins this as well. Judging by the Player 1 icon in the Kirby Cafe minigame, we assume that Bandana Waddle Dee could be playable there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if all the other minigames can also be played with 2 players. I also wouldn't be surprised if all the other minigames give you coins for playing them. The other 3 minigames are jobs. Kirby works in a cafe, in a post office, and in what could be a flower store. So it would be nice for Kirby to get paid from working those jobs. But how will Kirby get paid in a fishing minigame? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the collected fish will be sold to an NPC. That NPC being Gooey. Hey, the fishing spot is next to Kirby's house, and it has been officially stated that Gooey lives in Kirby's house. I know that this isn't Kirby's house in Dreamland, this is a new one built in the Forgotten Land, but I just want to see Gooey somehow popping up in this game. Not only does Gooey live in Kirby's house, Gooey is also associated with fishing. The first thing we see him do in Kirby's Dream Land 3 is just that. So yeah, I can imagine Kirby sell the fish collected in this minigame to Gooey. I don't expect it, but I will be very happy if it does happen. Also here, in this tree stump, we can see the same bluebirds from the mall in the previous trailer. Now we end with the main part of the town, the Warp Star. Around the Warp Star sit 3 Waddle Dees, 2 reading a book and another one with a scholar's cap and round glasses, who is called Wise Waddle Dee. According to Nintendo's website, Wise Waddle Dee will give you helpful hints about the game, and will connect you to the internet to collect data from other players around the world, telling you how many Waddle Dees have been collected worldwide. I could imagine him also giving you more information like global rankings on minigames and whatnot. He also, of course, tells you what's the most popular ability, which I understand as being the most used ability at the moment. Since you're told what the most popular ability at the moment is, I can imagine Ranger being on the top spot for months. Personally, I think we should all get together and get Sleep as the most popular ability in a specific day. Wise Waddle Dee connecting online is the reason why we get a Nintendo Switch Online subscription disclaimer in the bottom of the trailer. By the way, in other international trailers, the disclaimer is only in this section of the trailer, so I assume that in the English version of the trailer, there was an error or mandate to keep the disclaimer for as long as it was. And in the Japanese trailer, the disclaimer doesn't show at all. Also, in that version, we can see that there's a slightly different clip of Wise Waddle Dee. While the English version of the trailer starts with them having a more serious look with their eyebrows lowered, the Japanese version has him in a neutral expression throughout most of the trailer. During this scene, if we listen closely, we can hear 2 different sound effects. First is the text sound effect, which sounds like the one from Kirby Planet Robobot, especially Susie's. And alongside the sound effect, we also get sound effects from Wise Waddle Dee himself, those being named Waddle Dee Wah-Wah sounds, according to the trailer's closed captions. Since we might be able to talk to more Waddle Dee NPCs in the rest of the game, like in Kirby Battle Royale, I can assume that we'll hear the same sound effects when conversing with other Waddle Dees. Going back to the Warp Star itself, if you hop into it, you will go to the level select screen. And as you can see, Elfilin joins you on the Warp Star. He's so cute and tiny, I love him. Another thing we see Elfilin do in the town is that he can freely roam around in there. In this clip, we can see him go to another direction from where Kirby is going. Whew! And we're finally done with Waddle Dee Town. That was a lot, but I still have a little bit more to say about this place. For starters, remember how I said that Waddle Dee Town is also a menu screen? Yeah, I'm going to explain that now. In the recent Kirby games, there are 3 menus: the title screen, the file select screen, and the menu screen. I can imagine that the Waddle Dee Town fits the role of the menu screen. Here's why. Every location in the town replaces a part of the main menu. The Warp Star takes you to the World Select screen, in which you play the story mode. Several buildings replace the several minigames. The arena in the back replaces the arena icon in the menu, and the theater replaces the cutscene icon. With this logic, we can assume what other buildings we'll get in Waddle Dee Town. Maybe one location to replace the sound test, probably a karaoke bar or club, a place to view the collectible figurines, which I assume will be Kirby's house, but it could be some other place, a copyability museum of sorts, which could be unlocked at the end of the game, as is per tradition, though it could be the hat store we see, and a way to select the extra mode, which, if my bandana Waddle Dee theory is correct, that could simply be accessed by, I don't know, talking to a bandana Waddle Dee NPC vibing in the town itself once the game is beat, or something along those lines. We could also get a settings building, but I think that's very unlikely. The settings would probably be accessed via the title screen, or if it returns, the file select screen. While I don't think you need a menu for the game itself, I could assume that there will be one for each minigame. You know, to choose difficulty, see the tutorial, and view your scores. Maybe even view other scores online. Also, one final thing I want to say about the Waddle Dee Town. This is the place where all the Waddle Dees are going to be hanging around, right? So, could Hal do me a solid and make us rescue and therefore have channel PPP in the Waddle Dee Town? I think this could be a perfect time to bring them back. For the unaware, Channel PPP are the Waddle Dees that run the official Kirby Twitter account, and they had their first in-game appearance in Kirby Battle Royale. So since the game is about rescuing and interacting with Waddle Dees with personalities, having them in this game would be great. They don't have to do something big, they don't have to replace something from the menu, just do something minor with them, like, I don't know, interviewing other Waddle Dees about how they felt when captured or something. I just really want to see the boys back. Okay, now I'm truly done with the Waddle Dee Town. Let's now hop into the warp store and go to the world map. About that. Would you look at that? I spent a whole 20 minutes on the Waddle Dee Town. Whoops. I guess I'll have to talk about the rest of the trailer in another part. Part 3. So see you there. Jesus Christ, sorry for the wait these are taking. I just have so much to say about this game. So if you don't want to miss part 3, you know what to do. Subscribe and ring the ringle to be notified when that arrives. Hopefully part 3 doesn't take as long as this part took to be done. Have a good day, and see you then!